Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Harvey here at the Functional Neurology Center, and welcome to the FNC Concussion and Brain Recovery Summit here in 2025. This topic is going to be about the head, neck, and eye integration. And this is the foundation for performance when you talk about athletics and a lot of competitive based sports. It's also something that's really commonly affected with the average patient that maybe isn't an athlete. But today we're going to kind of be focusing on that idea of performance and reaction with athletics. So, the head, the neck, and the eyes are all linked together by a multitude of different reflexes. And reflexes are just parts of the brain that kind of operate automatically. You don't have to really think about how do my eyes and my neck coordinate together, things like that. So, some of those reflexes include things like the vestibulo-ocular reflex, which is intimate connections in your brain between your eyes and your inner ear and your neck. Really, all three of those systems link together to help you keep the world to be stabilized even while you're moving through space. So let's say you're walking down the street, you should be able to look out into the world, and the world shouldn't be shaking like a bad camera. It should be pretty still and pretty solid, even though your body's moving. Even though your head's moving and your body's moving, your eyes should stabilize the world, and that's what the VOR reflex is really important for. The cervical ocular reflex is more about how your brain connects your cervical muscles, the muscles of your neck, to your eyes as well. Right? Do you have appropriate responses in terms of how your head and your eyes can move together or how they can separate with each other, right? So let's say that I'm looking here at you in the camera and I wanted to look to my right. Like maybe I'd want to activate my muscles to be able to look to my right and maybe my head would turn to the right. But I also would want to be able to keep looking at you even if my head turned to the left. Or if I looked in certain directions, I might have times where I want to separate my head and my eyes, where maybe I'm moving forward in a car and I look out at a target and that target starts to move away from me. My head, my body are going to go in one direction and my eyes are going to go in a different direction. And all of these things have to do with using certain reflexes and inhibiting other reflexes to allow these things to be able to work appropriately and make me feel okay with that function and not feel overstimulated or having issues with neurological symptoms. Oculomotor control is also really important when it comes to integration between your neck, your vestibular system, and just your relationship with the world and what's called spatial awareness. So there's multiple different systems in the brain that use your oculomotor system. So certain parts of your brain that are involved with shooting your eyes around, or what's called saccades, really use a lot of areas in your brain related to like your brain stem and areas in your frontal cortex, which is like this front part of your brain that's also highly involved with cognition, motor control, volitional motor movement, many facets like that. Whereas pursuits, or what we think of as like a smooth tracking movement, kind of it uses other networks in the brain more predominantly. So whereas we still might have some activation there lower in some of those areas of the brainstem, we also kind of have some faculties that are involved with our mapping areas of our brain, like our parietal lobe, and help me map out where are these targets at, where are they moving, and things like that. So basically, different eye movements use different real estate areas in the brain, and we can kind of assess and treat different parts of the brain based on some of the foundational principles of how are these systems functioning. Your virgin system is really involved with your depth perception and your ability to bring your eyes together and accommodate whenever you see something near, and to be able to diverge and separate your eyes and change things happening in your pupils whenever you're looking far away. These systems are really important for me to be able to do near far vision, like looking maybe down at my phone for directions and looking up far away at a street sign, or something as simple as being able to change between my screens or change between depths with my eyes. Doing things like maybe shooting like a bow and arrow, or being able to change depth with looking far away as well. So your cervical proprioception is your brain's perception of where your neck is in space. So, where is my neck related to my eyes, related to my inner ear? And we should basically have maps of how all these different systems know where each other are in space. And I should feel like when my head and my eyes are straight ahead and my neck is straight ahead, then I should feel like my neck is straight ahead. Whereas some patients feel like, oh, like I feel like this is straight ahead with my neck, or I feel like this is straight ahead with my neck, or I have poor proprioception that is changing things with the other parts of my brain. So if whenever let's say that this feels like straight ahead to me with my neck, my eyes have to coordinate differently to be able to keep the world straight ahead. So you're going to compensate. Neck issues can create eye issues can create neck issues, vestibular issues can create both neck and eye issues. So they all intimately connect together, and it's really important that all of these different systems are telling the brain the same thing at the same time. When they're all synchronized, athletes react really fast. They're able to process things at a really high level. They can track more accurately, and they can maintain a high level function with the parts of their brain, even when they're under pressure. With patients, these are things that can really commonly create symptoms whenever these systems are not working appropriately. So, really, these reflexes also help build neurological endurance, and they can create performance edge whenever we're talking about from an athletic and competitive standpoint. Elite performance requires our nervous system to be able to fire really, really quickly and react very fast to all sorts of stimuli at a high level. What they find is that high level athletes have some of the best oculomotor control markers. They have some of the best balance and coordination. And all of these things are things you don't really think about when you're training strength and agility, but they're very, very intimately connected to your ability to react to things and to be able to move your body appropriately to catch a ball, shoot a puck, shoot a basket, change depth with your eyes, know where your teammates are, all of these other type of faculties that are important in sports that aren't as simple as how strong are you or how fast are you. So some of the tools we use, especially with athletes, are things like virtual reality sports training, IBAB adaptive vision training, which is really bifocal vision training, working on that depth, working on visual motion, working on saccades and pursuits and gaze holding abilities. Being able to handle a lot of visual information, even maybe while your body's moving or the world's moving around you. The Dynavision D2 board is really, really valuable for helping train reaction time in all phases of the game. And so, are you able to shoot your eyes equally as fast to your left versus to your right, up versus down? Can you do it while you're moving? Can you do it while you're balancing? All of these things are things that you're doing automatically when you're playing sports, so you don't think about. So why don't you train these in therapeutic ways to make them more valuable and make them perform at a higher level? And then when you get out on into a high level competition, you're sharp and performing at your highest level. Strobe glasses can really help with anticipatory processing, so your ability to react to things even when maybe you're not able to use your eyes at all times. And then doing different types of transcranial stimulation can help wake up areas of the brain or help make those areas more active, which also can really enhance neuroplasticity and athletic performance. So layering training together is a really important part of the model here at FNC. So a typical neurooptimization session might include things like we might prime the brain metabolically by using some of those therapies that help improve cellular function at the cellular level of things like these areas of your brain we're working. So we might go do things like what are called pulsed electromagnetic field therapy or photobiomodulation, things that help exercise the cells at a cellular level. So things that might help the cells make more cellular energy, do things like help increase blood flow and oxygen consumption, and things like that before going and actually exercising those parts of the brain to make them perform more appropriately or be stronger. So we might recalibrate different joints or muscles by doing different kinds of chiropractic manipulations or different kinds of muscle techniques or different kinds of strengthening and stretching exercises, or doing a variety of calibration maneuvers with your neck, your head, and your eyes, like gaze stabilization progressions. We might challenge you a little bit more difficultly with doing things like making you react to things with the Dynavision board or the IBAB therapies, where we can change the speed and reaction time of different therapies to be able to fit where you're at in terms of performance. So it would look very different for a brain injury patient versus a high level athlete. And then we could even change that and say, can we be able to push you to have new levels of function in terms of being able to perform higher than maybe you were even when you were healthy and performing at a high level? Not all the time do athletes have to degrade their performance with age. If you're training things more appropriately, sometimes people are having some of their better years of their career even later on in their timeline. So, really doing full immersion therapies and things like the virtual reality therapies, or what's called the gyrostim therapy, which is, a full body motion chair where we can move and create movement with your body and make you react to things visually at the same time and coordinate what your head, your eyes, and your neck are all doing together, and making sure those systems are coordinated appropriately. Anchoring your system with stability and adding in cognitive tasking, because when you think about sports, it's more than just, can I react to a pitch, or can I be able to shoot a puck in the right direction. It's also thinking about, what are the plays that are coming up, what is the other team doing, where are my teammates, like, having awareness cognitively is really important, with the function of the visual, vestibular, and cervical system as well. So layering all these things together can really help improve speed, resilience, and precision when it comes to some of these neurological networks. So what are some things that athletes report when doing neural performance training? So things we see a lot of is patients saying, and athletes are specifically saying, "Oh, I have faster reaction times, especially whenever I'm under pressure, or in really important times of the game." Sharper accuracy, and I don't feel like I degrade as the game goes, where I'm really sharp early in the game, and I feel like I fatigue, and I'm not as as sharp later in the game. I don't experience as much dizziness or having sensitivity to motion when I'm moving at a really fast speed. I have greater resilience to impact. So this can, doing things in a neuro rehab setting can really reduce your risk of concussion and reduce your risk of long-term injury. And then obviously building your confidence when it comes to, am I able to perform at a high level under stress? Am I able to handle the cognitive load that comes with high level athletics? And can I do this all at the same time? Right. So these gains can really reflect optimized neuronal processing. And it's not all just about physical strength and agility. So when we're talking about things that are beyond just recovery, these are things that are geared towards performance and towards sharpening your sword in a way, right? And so in these ways, we can use some of the therapeutics we might use with a patient that's injured, but we can also optimize those, or personalize those treatments to be more about athletic performance rather than only working on someone that has symptoms related to an injury. In modern sports, milliseconds matter. So some of the things when you relate to reaction time, the best athletes are athletes that normally have really, really good depth perception, really good saccadic speeds, great pursuit abilities, really, really good spatial awareness, have agility, have strength, have all of these types of things going at the same time. They're all working together. So if we can, classically, athletes are working a lot on strength and agility, and they're not working enough on visual processing, motion processing, cognitive processing, all these other facets of the game that are really, really important. But they're not trained the same way that strength and agility are trained classically in the classic athletic model. So we like to really focus on some of these areas of performance that are kind of underutilized. So some of the key takeaways from this talk are going to be things like, true speed isn't just about muscle strength and agility. We also want to talk about, how does your brain processing, stimuli, and can we process it at a infinitely fast speed? So it's about the precision of how my networks are talking to each other and coordinating information. And by training things like head, neck, and eye integration, we can really leverage some of the new technology to help accelerate how fast you can react to all these types of things in your life. So athletes achieve higher performance and they build neurological resilience through doing personalized brain rehabilitation. So in our minds, and in the minds of a lot of research, the future of sports lies in this ability to do brain optimization and working on neuronal pathways rather than only working on muscle and agility endurance. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope some of the athletes out there are going to take this to heart and be able to say, hey, how can I build my brain performance the same way I build my body performance? All right. Thanks, guys.